Fact: when a young Mark David Chapman returned from Beirut, he went to work with Vietnamese refugees at a resettlement camp in Fort Chaffee, Arkansas, a charitable camp that was overseen by World Vision. World Vision is a right-wing group with links to the CIA. At the time, World Vision's president was Ted Engstrom, a close personal friend of an oil man named John Hinckley Sr., the father of John Hinckley Jr., the man who tried to kill President Ronald Reagan in 1981. Fact: in the 1960s, George Herbert Walker Bush's Zapata Oil Company bailed out John Hinckley Sr.'s failing company, Vanderbilt Oil. Fact: in 1983, Vanderbilt Oil was bought out by a company called Chapman Energy. Fact: if Ronald Reagan had died, George Herbert Walker Bush would have become the President of the United States. He would have to wait 7 more years to get the job. These are the facts. Mark David Chapman assumed a military firing stance and methodically squeezed off 5 rounds from his .38. Only 4 of those rounds hit John Winston Lennon. What became of the 5th bullet? Jose Padermo took the gun that Chapman had emptied into John Winston Lennon's back and gave it to a friend to hide in a desk drawer in the basement of the Dakota. Padermo reportedly said to Chapman, "Get out of here, man. Just get out of here," directly after the shooting, but the pudgy dwarf in glasses just sat down on the curb and started to read a book. He didn't flee. Fact: while under a suicide watch at Rikers Island Prison, immediately after the shooting, Chapman was allowed to make a number of collect telephone calls. This same courtesy was shown to accused John Fitzgerald Kennedy killer Lee Harvey Oswald while in police custody in Dallas back in 1963. Fact: Lee Harvey Oswald was murdered before he could stand trial for the JFK killing. Fact: Mark David Chapman has never stood trial for the John Winston Lennon killing either. Fact: Mia Farrow, the former Mrs. Frank Sinatra, shepherded her large brood of children away from the Dakota and into Central Park just hours before John Winston Lennon's fatal shooting. Fact: Mia Farrow was the star of Rosemary's Baby, a film directed by Roman Polanski. Fact: Roman Polanski's wife, Sharon Tate, was murdered by the Manson family. Cult leader Charles Manson claimed that John Winston Lennon's song Helter Skelter inspired the infamous Tate LaBianca killings. Roman Polanski fled the United States, never to return. Fact: John Winston Lennon died on the day after the 39th anniversary of the bombing of Pearl Harbor. The Japanese are generally held responsible for the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and the mysterious Yoko is reportedly Japanese. Fact: John Lennon's bodyguard, Douglas McDougal, an ex-FBI agent, was given a leave of absence by the mysterious Yoko in September of 1980 and was to have returned to work on December 9th, the day after John Winston Lennon was killed. Fact: when Lennon and the mysterious Yoko returned to the Dakota that fateful night, she got out of the limo first, eschewing Asian custom, and, according to several sources, eyewitnesses, nodded to the demented dwarf Mark David Chapman. Mark was clutching a copy of the album Double C to his chest the entire day, December 8th, 1980, an album on which the mysterious Yoko has several songs. John Winston Lennon's signature was on that album. According to police reports, the dwarf sat calmly in the back of the police car after the shooting until the mysterious Yoko walked up to the car and stared silently at him. At that point, he became agitated, hid on the floor of the patrol car, and demanded police protection from any harm. Could the mysterious Yoko have wanted Mark silenced? Some of his first words that Mark spoke to the police were, "I acted alone. I'm the only one." End quote. Fact: Dr. Bernard Diamond was Mark's defense psychiatrist. Dr. Diamond was also the defense psychiatrist for Robert Bobby Kennedy's assassin, Sirhan Sirhan. Fact: the nefarious Frederick Seaman broke into the Dakotas and stole John Winston Lennon's personal diaries after the murder, claiming he was going to turn them over to Lennon's son, Julian, as Lennon had asked. But the fact is, Seaman never turned them over to the lad. Later, Seaman was arrested, and the diaries were inexplicably turned over to the mysterious Yoko, who claimed she was going to publish them. She never did. Those are the facts. Simple facts. And where do they lead us? To 4 possible theories. 1. The mysterious Yoko hired the dwarf Mark David Chapman to kill John Winston Lennon, as, since his death, the mysterious Yoko has become heir to his fortune. Could the diaries have held some clue to who the mysterious Yoko was and why she would want to kill John Winston Lennon? We may never know, as Fred Seaman's own book on the diaries, The Last Days of John Lennon, is so poorly written it has yet to be read from cover to cover. Theory 2 holds: could Cuban doorman Jose Padermo have been involved? He hid the smoking gun and may have had ties to E. Howard Hunt, Watergate co-conspirator and man on the grassy knoll in Dallas. Ask yourself, was the CIA involved? Richard Milhous Nixon never liked John Winston Lennon or John Fitzgerald Kennedy. Theory 3 asks, what is the Mafia's interest in all this? Was Mia Farrow, Frank Sinatra's ex-wife, tipped off to stay away from the Dakota on December 8, 1980? Farrow has since been linked with death threats to Woody Allen, another New York entertainer. Rumors about a connection between the Mafia and the New York City entertainment industry are legend. In fact, the word Mafia is made up from the first 5 letters of Mia Farrow's name. That is just a fact. I leave it to you to draw any inference from that. The 4th and final theory, the one that holds the most water, simply, George Herbert Walker Bush did it.
Now, until all of these avenues are exhausted, the penal system of New York State has no right to hold my client, myself, Mark David Chapman. Thank you for your time.